Moon wide again. Welcome to Fight Song Podcast. I'm Dan Wilburn. In this episode, Sacha Dunable and I put Glycerine up against Lightning Crashes, Bush versus Live, two single-syllable bands, one hot matchup. Hit FightSongPodcast.com to vote on your favorite and check out the other episodes. This intro is over. I got some final numbers on Enter Sandman versus Symphony of Destruction, and it wasn't as wide of a spread as we were looking at it, like, how is Symphony so far in the lead? The winner of episode 2 is definitively Symphony of Destruction, but Enter Sandman caught up and it got at least 43% of the vote.
Wow. I feel like I said this, but I think it's just cooler to like Megadeth or that Megadeth song.
Well, I think you said it better at the time where you said it's just cooler to hate on Metallica right now. They're just really hateable sometimes.
Yeah, and everybody's heard Enter Sandman too many times to vote it over anything, you know?
But like, there is no Symphony of Destruction without Enter Sandman. When the aliens come to unearth all the dead people and scramble through our belongings, they'll find Enter Sandman and not Symphony of Destruction, and that's how you know.
Well, maybe we'll turn things around with these two non-bangers.
Yeah, we're mellowing out a little bit, and it kind of falls between episode 1, songs that I don't really like truly, but I'm happy to talk about. Episode 2, where I very much like those songs, and then this one are songs that I like or thought I liked, but I liked them at the time. Did you tell me you did not have the Bush record, the 16 Stone?
I did not have that Bush record or any Bush record for that matter.
Did you have Live Throwing Copper?
I absolutely had Throwing Copper, and I absolutely played while learning how to play guitar, played guitar along to that record. So I am thoroughly familiar with at least the hits, but I'm going to go ahead and say right now that that's sort of my favorite of these two.
Yeah, I had 16 Stone, and Bush kind of came on in my formative years of getting into playing guitar and getting into music that was happening at the time, not, it wasn't a Sabbath record or a classic rock band. It was like a band that was happening while
It was a contemporary band.
Yeah.
Right.
But man, I listened to the record a couple days ago prepping for this, and I really hated it. I hated all the singles. I never liked any of the album cuts, the album tracks, the non-singles. So that was surprising. And then I didn't not like Live, and I know a lot of their songs, but I found that so much more, the staying power stuck. The staying power stayed.
The power stayed right where it needed to be.
That was, maybe they had
because it wasn't a cheap effort like how Bush was kind of this like sort of polished up version of like Nirvana. It was so obvious at the time.
Sanitized Nirvana. Nirvana. Good. I got that in there early, so now I don't have to remember to say it.
Douched Nirvana in more than one context. So yeah, anything like that is cheap and it's not going to last.
What I think is interesting and why this is a good matchup between Glycerine and Lightning Crashes is that obviously they're both the mellow hits of the two bands, but the follow-up records for both bands weren't as big, and they really didn't have songs after these two big records that had the same impact. So it was these two big records, and then there are some, like, on Razor Blade Suitcase for Bush, they had Swallowed, and I don't know if there's another single, and Live had a couple songs off of their follow-up, which I didn't even remember until I just cruised Spotify for a minute.
Yeah, I want to say I don't remember that at all.
As far as like current listening enjoyment, I liked the Live record really all the way through, and that I was cringing on my drive listening to 16 Stone.
Wow, that bad.
I really hated it. I thought it sounds so shitty, and then I felt like I was at like a high school talent contest for bands that came after Nirvana. It was really rough.
That was sort of the case, though, if you've gone back and listened to a number of bands in the post-Nirvana, in the douched Nirvana genre of music, like Silverchair.
I was going to say, I hope you don't say Silverchair, because I think that's pretty listenable.
I don't know. It's pretty shitty. I mean, those kids were like 15, so there's an excuse there at least. Bush, there's just no excuse. Those guys were already bald. They were men. They should be playing their instruments and writing better songs.
It's pretty rough to have such blatant stylistic ripoffs. And then that's the thing. Like, I don't think that Nirvana it was really great in retrospect, but their musicianship and their style holds up. And then I listen to these Bush songs that are very elementary versions with like little things lifted, not enough to be like, well, they straight up ripped off that riff, but there are songs that are so similar, but so safe and so clean, and so many. I mean, if he has had issues with drugs and addiction, then I'm sorry for asking this, but there's like 4 or 5 songs about what I assume is heroin. And was this man ever on drugs?
He doesn't look like it. He does, like, if you look at him today, he looks very healthy.
Yeah, if he did, he cleaned up well.
Maybe he like smoked pot.
But thought that was good enough to put Shoot Up and write a song called Come Down and have the outro chorus be Shoot Up.
Maybe he, there's ways around that. You can use it as metaphors. You can have co-writers. I bet there were co-writers too.
I don't think it was as manufactured as it looks like it is. I think it was one of those things where, this is kind of an esoteric comparison, but when Franz Ferdinand hit, the indie band Franz Ferdinand, and then there was another band, it was like Louis the 14th or Louis the 16th, that was also an indie rock band that no one ever heard of, that got signed and put on kind of indie radio immediately. And I don't know if it was a band that had a name before that and changed their name to somehow fit the trend of like random historical figures because that's such an awful name, Franz Ferdinand anyway. But yeah. I think it was like, here's a band that's like some of the rock bands from the American Northwest. They're British. We can sell this. And, girls think he's pretty. Because the songs are too shitty to be like co-written.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they were just really good at aping Nirvana. And now that I'm looking at the track listing, there were, first of all, a lot of hits on the record.
Dude, there's so many singles.
But 3 of them are total Smells Like Teen Spirit rips in the like sort of rhythmic strumming sort of style.
Yeah.
Everything Zen, Little Things, and Machine Head are all
a little bit wristy.
Super wristy.
Very wristy, but not palm muted, because we're not trying to be metal.
No, you're fretting hand muting, not the palm of your picking hand. A lot of string noise.
Well, what song of theirs did you hear first? Because I do remember my introduction, but
I want to say it was Everything Zen or Machine Head, and it was definitely on like MTV or the radio.
It was. I saw that they had a Buzzbin video for Everything Zen that was also
that sounds right.
Also in the promo for the Buzzbin, so it was like you getting a little bit of both. But I remember hearing Everything Zen, and as I disclosed to you in confidence, I had a Bush shirt of 16 Stone that I got at Hot Topic in Boston before Hot Topic really became such a subject of ridicule for having awesome music and shirts.
Yeah.
I walked in, that record was everywhere. There was probably a 16 Stone poster on the wall of the Hot Topic, and I was like, oh, I'll get this band.
Well, at that age, what do you even,
It was, I think for me, they were my, oh, you were just that age band. Because I still earnestly like a lot of the other music from that time, Silverchair included.
Mostly excusable. It's mostly excusable.
Any like guitar-driven stuff, I think, is, for me anyway, pretty easy to still be into. But there was something about re-listening to it that I was really turned off by, just how puffy and gross it sounded. It was like the puffy fuzz guitar, but then a drum recording that sounds like trash cans. The puffiness of the Big Muff sound, but not any definition, and just
no.
So you heard Everything Zen 2 first.
I believe so, yeah.
And then I don't remember really the order of the rest of the singles, but the song we're talking about, Glycerine, I remember a friend on the bus put his headphones in my ears and said, I love it when this song kicks in. And I'm waiting like the whole 3.5 minutes. And then at some point he like steps on his Boss DS1 and like kicks on a little bit more of that puffy sound. And I remember finishing the song and going, was it something supposed to kick in? He was like, yeah, like he kicks the distortion on.
Like the cello or something?
Yeah,
Oh, the
like like
distortion.
everything kicks on and then the guitar plays the few chords, with more gain. And I remember thinking, even back then, how lame I thought that was. Not that I
It
don't
is.
like the song a little bit, but
No, it is really just a garbage fucking song, like in every fucking way. There's no drums, which is excusable if the song is good enough, but in this case, it's not.
when you do a pop punk chord progression with no drums, that's unnecessary.
Right.
That song should have drums.
I think that was another thing I didn't like about it at the time was that it was like the same chord progression as all these songs that had already been hits the previous couple years, which, I'm 14 years old, so that's like most of the songs I've heard at that point.
Yeah, even
in
at
my life.
that point, you were like, this sounds familiar. Oh, it's the chord progression that sounds good.
To me, I was like, this is When I Come Around chord progression,
Yeah,
which I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it is.
it is. It's one fret down from my recollection of learning guitar from Tab.
Right. And then also the cello thing, which I think was such a tired gimmick at that time in music. Like,
Apparently, it's on In Utero. It's fine for all of us to use strings now.
exactly. Like, if that wasn't on In Utero, would that even be on the song Bush?
No one.
Gavin? Like, you successfully like pussified an already like shitty song.
Yeah, you don't have to take your power ballad and soften it up a little more with cello. You're already at the lowest rock intensity that you could be.
Exactly. You don't have to prove how fucking weak sauce your band is.
I get it.
Was he already banging Gwen Stefani at this point?
As far as I know, that came together after all the 16
the
Stone
cello.
stuff. Maybe that was more Razorblade Suitcase era. We were trying to do a matchup of Glycerine and Don't Speak, but the years were so far apart that this one made more sense.
Well, this is definitely a more apples to apples song.
They're
comparison,
both
anyway.
94. And, I mean, it technically still counts that 16 Stone came out in December, but I guess
Wait, so this came out the same year, but like later?
Bush was after
Copper?
Throwing Copper, yeah.
I wonder if they like ripped this idea from Live. I'm gonna go with yes.
Oh,
That just
to
seems,
do,
like a heavy song, but no drums, mostly.
Well, eventually Lightning Crashes gets to some drums, but it's a whole lot of not drums first.
That's true. It does. Yeah, people don't remember it as a drum-oriented song.
They don't know that they remember it as an out-of-phase pickups using the flanger riff song. And you remember
Right.
that dude's bald-ass face and head.
He
and
even
his,
has like a Krishna tail. Didn't
yeah,
he?
his braided rat tail.
See, that's what I mean. Like Live, at least there was some. It seemed like there was some kind of like
They were like real
artistic
alternative.
depth.
Yeah, they were like a real alternative band. Bush had about as much credibility as I did for being alternative at the time, as you and I did.
Right, right. Like, I feel like Live gave me the same kind of like, what are these guys doing kind of feeling as like the first time I saw REM Losing My Religion video. It's that same kind of like these like religious kind of overtones and
Yeah.
it's kind of seriousness to it.
Yeah, not hard rock enough to fall in with Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and Silverchair. And but yeah, REM's a great comparison, which might just be our brains trying to categorize guys with similarly shaped heads into one genre. But after my recent listen, I liked it a lot more than I remembered, and even liked going into this matchup. I think I was just gonna go with Glycerine because it was in my formative years, and I thought I liked it. And Lightning Crashes really annoyed me at the time, but in the context of the album, and it just has a lot less grossness around it.
Yeah, right.
I didn't hate it, but I don't like slow jams that then, as the like kicking it in feature of the slow jam, they just play the same riff, but like now everybody's playing it. I like it when they go to a different place and that song suffers from a little bit of almost like college rock build up where like now we're all playing it.
Right, I know what you mean, where it's like
That's like a preference thing. It's kind of unfair, but
they literally just do like another verse and chorus, but like loud this time.
yeah, the
right?
loud verse and chorus now.
Yeah. I will say I probably didn't play along to that song when
But if anyone had a flanger pedal, you learned how to play that. I did, and I didn't even like that song. It's just like, oh, a prominent flanger song. Let me whip out this full F bar chord to start out with. A song without power chords. Let me get it.
It was a good exercise for your little fucking
Yeah,
hands at the
that
time.
F
Your
doesn't fuck around. It really makes you stick the landing.
your little prepubescent fucking arms to fucking form a power chord on the first fret of a fucking electric guitar. That was not easy to do back then.
No.
You had to get that strength in your thumb and index finger.
You don't have drums to cover it up. That guy's just out there on stage every night with a live F chord.
Yeah, you knew right then that you had to get this shit down if you were ever going to fucking play on a goddamn stage, bro.
If I was going to win my high school talent show, I either had to go with Glycerine or Lightning Crashes, and Glycerine was way easier.
Exactly. Didn't stand the test of time, see? It's like you're like the grasshopper who just played all fucking summer instead of building a little hut. Like the fucking,
and then I've got to cop out to Glycerine.
And see, now you end up in the fucking used bin at every CD store in 96.
Why is it that like Lightning Crashes and Glycerine both lead the Spotify listens, for each band respectively, like nearly double of the next closest song? Why is it that the slow jam, the ballads that humans love?
I wish I knew.
It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating to me. And really any artist that has a bunch of hits, the slow jam will be the one that has a remarkable lead.
Here's my theory.
Girls.
Think about, you're every type of person except for the type of person that you are. Just put yourself in everyone else's shoes right now, okay? You're a fucking mom. You're like being emotional one day while everybody's at work or school, and you're just like gonna put on a mix of your favorite songs on Spotify that make you feel good, that make you feel something inside of you, in your heart. And I Alone is not gonna be on that list, and Everything Zen is not gonna be on that list. But Lightning Crashes and fucking that other shitty song are both definitely on the playlist. Alternatively, you're in college and you're a girl and you're drunk and you're 19 and you go back to some dorm room with a boy and you say, put on some songs.
He's not going to go to Come Down.
He's not going to come down.
He's not going to...
Because you don't want to come down from this cloud, sweetheart.
It's taken him all this time. And you're not gonna kick on selling the drama. What are you trying to do?
Let me tell you what, you don't want to let those days go by, okay, Glycerine? Because his lightning's gonna crash all over your stomach in a fucking messy pool in about 3 minutes. So just fucking hang on.
Nice tie-in there, Dunable. Because isn't that song about is the song about abortion or like the mom dies during childbirth? They're serious, REM level serious.
But that doesn't matter to the average listener. But you are right.
It's one of those. Not a lot of songs tackling abortion at the time in the alt rock scene.
It's not about abortion though, is it? It's like, I mean, I don't really know what it's about, but abortion seems unlikely. I think it's like birth. Maybe she dies or something.
We weren't that far off. It's about like deaths and births going on simultaneously in the hospital. Sorry, lightning crashes, that is. So
see, it's provocative. Where Glycerine, like, I don't even give a shit what that song's about, because when that cello kicks in, I just want to change the channel.
But also because the lyrics are nonsense, a couple of friends of mine just text each other lyrics from Glycerine. Because they're really so insane.
Well, but he was just copying Kurt Cobain, whose lyrics made zero sense. Like, probably less sense than that, even.
Yeah, the contradictory little lines of nothingness.
Yeah, and I get at the time, like, Cobain was like, I don't know, personally, I think overrated as just about everything. But, and I'm a Nirvana fan, but I feel like at the time it was a fresh thing. People didn't really have this nonsensical thing.
Yeah, there's kind of like a lot of non sequitur stuff going on in that writing where this, maybe the chorus ties it together, but then some of the choruses, don't have relieving lyrics. So
right, and there's kind of like this. It's kind of a fuck you kind of punk rock thing to be like, I'm gonna have these lyrics that don't actually mean anything. It's kind of like this smart ass thing. But then there's guys like Gavin Rossdale who's just like, oh, this shit is so deep. Like, I'm never alone. I'm alone all the time. Oh my God. It's like he thinks he's actually a good lyricist.
I worry that he thinks he's deep and maybe that's what's concerning. Because, I mean, bless his little heart. He's doing the best he can. He goes in a band and it got popular and good for him. Of those singles, what's the one that you like the most?
I think Machine Head, actually, because that main riff is pretty... It's
totally
actually,
okay riff.
It's pretty, honestly, I will say it's pretty epic, and then it does really actually hold up.
I forgot about that song. When I was doing my listen, I was like, God, is this ever going to end? And then that song's kind of late on the record. I was like, oh yeah, Machine Head. That's good all the way through.
Yeah, I think that it's a good epic rock riff.
like I mentioned to you, it took me, well, however long that record's been out, more than 20 years to figure out that the bass riff from Come Down is the verse riff of Living on a Prayer.
That's right. I didn't notice that either until you brought that up.
Every time I heard that for my entire life, I was like, why does this sound familiar? And it just never stuck. And one day, fairly recently, like mid-year last year, it clicked.
Have you like checked it and A-B'd it so that's the exact same notes and not just like a very similar kind of shape?
Both of them are jin 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 jin, and then there's like, you know, the come down has to kind of loop, but that much of it is the same. I don't know if it's the same key, but it's right there.
It's right there.
So from Living on a Prayer, straight over to dark and serious album cover for Throwing Copper, which sold for $186,000, by the way, the original artwork.
I read that too on Wikipedia.
They have relatively short Wikipedia pages.
Just like their careers, really. I mean,
you got to go to the Gavin Rossdale page to get the dirt.
Yeah, I don't know. Both bands, I don't really know much more about.
You're just like, well, I know that the singer from Live also looks like Andre Agassi, but other than that like maxes out my knowledge.
True, actually. Yeah. Anyway,
I remember hearing Selling the Drama, and I guess I don't have to tell you which song that is. You played along with that record yesterday.
I don't know.
That's
if I remember.
The down wow wow. Got that?
Yeah.
That going for it.
If I played it real quick, I would probably. Well, I actually have it right here.
Oh, very good. There you go.
Oh yeah, this is another single. Yeah. Wow.
And that's also why I think this is a really good matchup, because each record has, I think Bush has more, but this record has 4 singles from it: Selling the Drama, I Alone, Lightning Crashes, and All Over You.
Yeah, I totally forgot about this song because I remember there being more hits, but I was like, I don't recognize any song. Wow, so it really is kind of apples to apples.
And then the drop off is, you know, there's a follow-up hit. And in Bush's case, I remember working the first day of my first job, bagging groceries at Kroger, and having Swallowed come on the like store Muzak, and I'm sweeping the floor, and Swallowed comes on, and I had probably my first grown-up thought in my entire life, where I was like, oh, this is why work sucks. I just figured it out.
Because you had to be bombarded with
it wasn't
music you hated.
It wasn't even the Bush song. It was just like, I vividly remember pushing the push broom up the aisles, working, and having my time not be my own. I was on the clock.
Right. Yeah.
But the live record, I like All Over You probably twice as much as I like any of the other songs. I think that's kind of even an underrated and unsung song of the 90s rock bands.
It's a great song. The writing of that song is great, I think. It's like really good at not kind of just every part being on the same kind of root note.
Yeah, it moves well.
Good bridge. It moves great. It's a great moving song.
The ride cymbal sounds like it's as big as my car. The bell on that ride, not even the ride itself. The bell of the ride sounds like it was made from the top of the Capitol building. And but that was pretty common, don't you think? In like just a lot of like belly ride action going on in a lot of 90s rock songs.
When I think 90s rock, I always just think of, for some reason, Bad Motorfinger and Siamese Dream.
Mm-hmm.
And like that style of production. And I can't even picture what a ride cymbal sounds like on either of those records.
Because all you hear is Jimmy Chamberlain's left foot doing the hi-hat the entire record.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or actually, not even in maybe the more guitar-driven stuff, but just like 90s production in general it moved from, 80s technology-fied is what I mean, but 80s overproduction of reverb and space, and then they kind of started doing a little bit more room mic, but it was still very like glassy and like kind of sharp.
Yeah, sharp is a great word for it. Yeah.
That bell ride just like, I'm thinking like Spin Doctors or something like that, just like,
oh yeah, Spin Doctors. Even Pearl Jam was fucking with some like sharp drums,
Yeah, Pearl Jam, little more room mic in the mix, but still just like make sure you've got a spot mic on the bell of the ride, so it really cuts through.
There's like a condenser and a dynamic on just the bell, top and bottom.
Top and bottom, I was gonna say. But that song, I love catching that song on the radio, all Over You.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also because you know what? It wasn't overplayed. It's like it didn't fall victim to the Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
Or even Glycerine sort of symptom, syndrome, where it's just like on the fucking radio 4 times a day since then, and still on the radio 4 fucking times a day.
Still.
It's a nice little treat.
It is, because you're going to get I Alone a lot more. And
Probably.
then Lightning Crashes is going to be like their, I need to take a shit, I need to play a longer song so I can get back in time. Sorry, I just got you right when you took a drink. So you're just not going to get All Over You as much. But like All Over You is a good, like with Wallflowers, you're going to get one headlight. But if you can get the difference, this reference is not going to land for you. But
Was that another Wallflowers
There's
song?
a second Wallflowers hit. It's a really nice rock song. You think you're going to get Counting Crows Round Here, but you get Mr. Jones, and it's just a nice little treat.
You get Rusty Cage instead of Outshined. There you go.
Were those on the radio for you? Outshine was on Columbus Rock Radio a little bit, but not the rest of Bad Motorfinger, and maybe not even until Super Unknown broke, and then they kind of went back and played a little bit of Outshined.
Sorry, just to correct my reference, it would be a My Wave instead of Black Hole Sun.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bad Motorfinger, I remember them on MTV more than the radio. I mean, Outshine was definitely on the radio. I think Rusty Cage was too.
Being such a fan of Throwing Copper and playing some guitar to it, but you didn't follow it up with I don't even remember the second record, Secret Samahi.
By 97 I was already balls deep in some Black Flag and just well over this live business. Well, I had 3 categories that I did make notes on that I wanted to just make arguments on. We've already gone through all of them, but just to recap, full album quality is what I wrote here.
For the amount I hated 16 Stone last week, despite what will probably be my party line Bush vote at the end of this, even without hearing Throwing Copper all the way through, I also vote Throwing Copper for album lead.
Yeah, okay. Second category, band legitimacy, which we have also talked to at great length here, and live is clearly, I mean, they're still a band, so, and they're
I think Bush is still doing something. And this is kind of popular, at least as of late, doing 28th anniversary tours for their big hit records, and that came up a couple years ago. If it would have been 2014, and so both bands have kind of been on the nostalgia kick, but they both have a decent amount of records. The newest live record, at least on Spotify, is 2006, but they've got a 2014 record, a 2011 record.
Bush?
Yeah.
The fuck?
But yeah, I guess when you sell enough records at one point, bands from the 70s do it for the rest of their lives. You hit up some county fairs, hit up some minor league baseball parks.
Oh, there are some B and C markets fucking just getting slammed with live and Bush, for sure. Like Xenia, right around you, I'll just name all those towns. Youngstown.
Oh, yeah.
Dayton.
Canton, Ohio welcomes Ed Kowalczyk of Live.
Toledo, not even Toledo. Is Toledo too big of a market?
Well, I think Dayton would be bigger, but...
What if they packaged it right, though, where it was live opening for Bush?
Well,
that would be at the outdoor amphitheater.
That just reminded me, I saw Live open for Counting Crows at the big amphitheater, like the 15,000, 20,000 seater, in their prime.
Fuck yeah.
What was your third category?
Oh, another one that we really hammered home, which was the songwriting quality, which obviously Live takes the W on.
Yeah, because I think they made that record after having played their guitars and drums for more than 6 months. So it really...
That's all you need to do. This is to any young children out there listening wanting to start a band. Play your instruments for more than 6 months before you get on the radio.
Write your first batch of songs and then write your next batch of songs and make that your record.
To be fair, was this Bush's first record?
I don't know of one that is before that was, what is in demos or whatever. There's no there's no previous record.
Right. See, Live had been around a little bit, so they'd been honing their craft.
Yeah, it's slightly unfair, but I'm still not going to give them any.
Still no excuse on Bush's part.
Yeah, unless you're literally 17 and that's all you got.
Yeah, they didn't have that excuse.
You seem pretty confident that Lightning Crashes was always in the lead for you.
Yeah.
But I came into this thinking that Glycerine was. Is there like a no contest
stick with
vote?
it?
I really don't and didn't like Lightning Crashes, but I don't feel good about either one. I guess I'll probably just go with what I thought I was gonna do.
Yeah.
I'll vote for Glycerine because my friend's high school ska band covered it with drums, and it was sweet. And you couldn't do that with Lightning Crashes because it would suck even harder. But
I'll tell you what, Glycerine would definitely work better as a ska in a ska context than Lightning Crashes. I will give them that.
Like just a nice upbeat, some upstrokes in the verse, kick it in on the chorus with just the power chords. It all works.
I'm into it.
All right, great. Well, there you have it, friends. A split decision on episode 3 of Fight Song Podcast. FightSongPodcast.com for the other episodes and to vote on this episode. We'll be back soon with another matchup. We'll probably take it out of the 90s to mix it up a little bit. Until then, go vote on this matchup. This episode is over.